Okay, let's sum up Chapter 3 with Intermittent Empire, the case of India. Okay, the idea of empire was much less prominent in India than in Persia, the Mediterranean, or in China. Now, the fall of the Indus Valley Civilization by 1500 led to the creation of a new civilization along the Ganges River, and the establishment in northern India of the classic civilization of South Asia by 600 BCE. There's enormous political, ethnic, cultural, and linguistic diversity. Indian civilization as a whole, shaped by political fragmentation and cultural diversity. So there's a severe lack of unity on all fronts with the people in South Asia. And, their identity was provided by distinctive religious traditions and social organizations. After the decline of the Indus Valley Civilization, there was a wave of Indo-Europeans that migrated into India. And there's still a lot of debate on the nature of their history. Did they invade suddenly, peacefully, and slowly, or were they always there? This political fragmentation and cultural diversity that developed despite the small, numerous states and meager imperial tradition, there were several distinct and significant religious traditions. And that actually formed the common core that outsiders would come to call Hinduism. And for the first empire that we'll look at in India was the Mauryan Empire from 326 to 184 BCE. This first Indian empire may have been inspired by contact with Persia and the Hellenistic kingdoms. It was impressive in size and power, about 50 million subjects. They've estimated about 600,000 infantry soldiers, probably around maybe 30,000 cavalry, and 8,000 chariots, and probably 9,000 war elephants. And this empire was not as long-lived as Rome or the Han dynasty. But it ruled all of the southern tip of India. And in addition to their large military, they had a strong civilian bureaucracy and many state-operated industries. They're probably the best-known emperor from the Mauryan Empire is Ashoka, who wrote these edicts or decrees and even did some of them in Greek. That's the influence that the Hellenistic culture had, even in places like India. But after his death, the Mauryan Empire broke apart. And the next empire, Indian Empire, is the Gupta Empire, 320 to 550 CE. And there were some other short-lived empires that followed. But why couldn't India maintain an empire? Well, the Gupta Empire was well over half a millennia before another state equaled the first empire. And the Gupta Empire, there was a flourishing of art and architecture and literature, as well as a flourishing in trade and some of the sciences. But the states in India failed to command loyalty. It was so diverse. In order for an empire to succeed, they needed to command loyalty, and they failed to do that. And we've stressed the cultural diversity. There were frequent invasions from Central Asia. The nomads from Central Asia were constantly invading. And then the caste system that the Aryans kind of started and developed encouraged local loyalties as opposed to a loyalty to an emperor, to a ruler. But despite this, Indian trade flourished, despite the lack of unity. Merchants and artisans patronized public buildings and festivals. And Hinduism and Buddhism spread through a lot of Asia. And Indian mathematics and astronomy flourished. So we have great civilizational achievements without a real strong, long-lasting central state. So despite a significant imperial tradition due to political fragmentation and conflict, South Asia was home to the growth of significant long-distance trade, major spiritual movements, and recorded impressive work in astronomy. And so now we look back at the enduring legacies of these second wave empires. Second wave empires continue to be used as models and as inspirations. Mao Zedong, the father of Chinese communism, which hopefully you remember from your readings over the summer, he compared himself to Shi Huangdi in the first emperor. Modern Indians pride themselves on Ashoka's nonviolence and tolerance, and Hinduism is still the number one religion in India. Great Britain celebrated its empire as a modern Roman Empire. Mussolini, the fascist leader of Italy, regarded Italian expansion as the creation of a new Roman Empire. And so that begs the question that I asked you guys at the beginning of this chapter. Are Americans the new Romans? Misusing historical analogies is dangerous, but history is vital to understanding the complexities of life now. So just some things to think about. And of course, I always have the visual sources here for you. This is a map that shows you the Mauryan Empire here in this salmon orangish color, and the Gupta Empire here in the green outline. And where you see those black triangles, that's where they found those rock and pillar edicts and inscriptions written by Ashoka. This is really neat. Look at the detail of these people coming up here. And that's amazing. And it's pretty large, too. Some of you have probably seen this one, other than what's in your book. These, hopefully you're mature enough to not be giggling right now, but these are statues that... sorry, I was logging in. These are statues that have been very important during the classical era. Obviously, great detail, especially in the facial features and the hair, even showing the muscles in the chest and even their legs. Very impressive, detailed work. And here, Remember the picture I showed you of the soldier that was down on his knee at the beginning of the chapter? This is from that. These are part of that 6,000 soldiers that were part of that funerary complex. And you could see, I mean, some of them are missing their heads, but I mean, there are even horses here. And you could see the exquisite detail. I mean, look at that. It's just everywhere. The exquisite detail even on these as well. This is pretty cool. Here's also some fantastic detail. I mean, if you think about their primitive tools and the technology that they didn't have back then, and they could still produce things like this in such detail and fine work, that's just amazing. And, it never ceases to amaze me what the human race is capable of doing with so little. Oh, and this is, I mean, amazing detail. I believe in your book it goes into a great explanation about what's on his chest plate. I mean, that's just phenomenal. No electric machinery at all. And I mean, we've lived in the industrial era, which is still going on right now. And this is thousands of years before that. It's just all done by hand. It's impressive. Here's the close-up that I was telling you about on his chest plate. Right, we got angels over here. This is probably the Father, God. Just even on the tunic or the toga here, I mean, it's amazing. And that's it. Wanted to go back. That's it, yeah. This is the first one. Okay. So this one, this is an inscription that I was talking about. I believe it's from the Persian Empire. Written by King Darius, I believe. And I think he is the central figure in here. Probably this bigger guy right here. This one is Harmodius and Aristogiton. Oh gosh, I'm bad at pronouncing the names. But these were actually the first public statues that were built of mortals. These are not gods. And these, I believe this is Greek. These are in Athens. And then this is, like I told you, from that funerary complex from Shi Huangdi. And then the chariot that goes along with it. That's just, wow. In here, I remember there were they found about 6,000 of these figures, which are said to be guarding the entryway into his tomb. And then, of course, the carriage. I believe this is made of bronze. But it shows here the 4 horses. You know, I think they found this quite close to his burial location as well. And then, like I told you, this is Augustus, a Roman emperor. And I believe, earlier I said God. I meant like Roman mythology. Sorry. But we've got lots of goddesses and gods here on his breastplate, but that is amazing sculpting right there. Just fantastic. And I mean, even down to this little guy down here. The one thing that is strange about this statue, no shoes. And that's strange for an emperor or a godlike figure. So, okay. Alright. That's the end of second wave civilizations, right? State and empire in Eurasia and North Africa. We will pick up next week with chapter 4, culture and religion in Eurasia and North Africa. So we'll look at culture and religion with these civilizations.